In the world, you can be anything. Be the positive change that this world needs. Together, we can end the stigma of mental health. We can be the voices for those who are scared to speak up. Through this journey, I will be right by your side. I will be your biggest cheerleader. I'll be there on your worst days and your darkest nights. On the days that you feel like you can't push anymore. Keep pushing. We are Team Maddie.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to do an Inside Psych video on being transgender within the Psych hospital. Like always, this is per my hospital. Let's hit the intro and let's go. So I know I've been gone for like 2 weeks, but it's because I've wanted to hit 2021 with the best year ever videos. So I have everything laid out and planned for an amazing year. But today I want to do a topic because I have a story that kind of goes along with it, and a lot of people in my TikTok comments have been asking, so I thought why not push them over here to watch a bigger video. So I have some advice. I'm going to walk you through what to do if you are a transgender kiddo coming into our psych hospital. Like always, I am not a therapist, just a staff, so I can tell you from our perspective the best way to do it. And then I'm going to tell you what to do if they don't respect you. So let's say you are going into our hospital, and when you arrive to the hospital, you'll be greeted by a nurse and a therapist, which will be your treatment team. And that is when you need to talk to them and tell them, hey, I am female to male, hey, I'm male to female, or hey, I am gender fluid, non-binary, whatever you go by. That's going to be the most important time. If you have a binder and you want to use it, you need to ask them then. They might say no, and here's why. And I don't agree with it, but sometimes the kids that come in are severely self-harmers. I can't really say that, self-harmers. I can't say that loud because it'll censor it, but they are. So they're unable to bring them. However, if you sign your contract for safety at our place and you say, hey, this is gonna help me with my treatment. I feel the most like me when I'm wearing it. Me not having it will make treatment go worse. I promise I won't SH with it. I'm gonna be responsible. I need it, and be firm on it. 9 out of 10 times they're gonna let you have it. Now, per our place, and first I want to start with, do I agree with this? No. So please don't come at me when I am telling you what our place does, but I've been holding off on this because I usually get hate for everything, but I was just like, there's so many kids asking, I'm just going to tell them. This is not what I believe, but this is what happens. You go to the gender you are assigned at birth, and that is for safety reasons. On the boys unit and the girls unit. So if you are male to female, you will still go to the males unit. If you're female to male, you'll still go to the females unit. If you're non-binary or gender fluid, you go to your gender assigned at birth. I don't agree with that because I think it can be kind of hurtful, but I'm about to give you a key piece of advice here. Most hospitals have a mixed unit. I've worked at 3, all 3 of them have had it. They've called the acute unit, they've called it low risk unit, and they've called it I believe it was the mixed unit. Ask for it. Say, hey, I am a male to female. I don't feel comfortable being on the males unit. I don't identify as a male. Could I please go on to the everyone unit, the acute unit? These are my pronouns. I'm in transition. Da 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 da. Fight for yourself. You sometimes have to be your biggest advocate, and a lot of times, I think there's only been one. I've worked at a psych hospital for 3 years. I think there's only been one time that I remember them being like, no, you have to stay on this unit. And I don't remember the exact reason why, but they did. For the most part, they usually put them on the everyone unit because in my eyes, and I'm assuming in their eyes, I can't read their brains, but at the same time, you have to imagine that could be kind of traumatic for someone who is in the process of transitioning or wanting to transition or trying to find out who they are, their identity, or what their pronouns are. That could be kind of traumatic, being put on the unit that you don't identify as, but still being called that. Pronouns are a big thing, and that's actually something I didn't start doing until I started doing TikTok. And the TikTok kids, and you guys are the ones who brought it to my attention, always ask people's pronouns. because even if they're straight, sometimes straight people don't go by he, him, or she, her. And that was something I never really thought of until, I started doing social media. So when a kid admits, I say, what are your pronouns? And that will change their mood. Just by you asking what their pronouns are or having them tell you, it opens a barrier of communication where you're able to like communicate a little more, like, oh my gosh, Miss Maddie might care. She asked my pronouns, I didn't tell anyone I was gay, but just the fact that she asked, like, it shows a level of trust and it shows a level of respect. Definitely when you're admitting, make sure you tell them your pronouns so that they can write it on everything. For the most part, we've never had any issues with anyone disrespecting pronouns. I have a couple stories which I will tell you at the end on how we handled them, which I hit in my last video, but just wanted to reiterate. A lot of times I do these cool little stickers now where my badge, I have she, her, because I think that in a pride flag, because the kids who are in the closet sometimes need a little bit of like encouragement, like, hey, Miss Maddie has like a pride flag on, like maybe she's a safe person, or like she says she, her, well, she knows what pronouns are, so maybe if I say they, them, she'll respect it and understand it. So it's just a level of like showing them you care. But make sure you tell staff what your pronouns are. So your treatment team will push out the notes. The next thing you'll want to do is when you go on our unit, so say you are a gender fluid kid, and let's just go with the acute unit because it's very rare, at least at our place, they will tell you you're assigned to the gender at birth unit, but then they usually move you right back over to like the everyone unit. So let's pretend that you go upstairs, you have your paperwork, you've told them that you go by they, them, that you're gender fluid, that your birth name is Maddie, but you go by, let's say you go by Andy, okay? So those are our little like conditions that you're there. So we walk on the unit, you'll go through the girls unit. I don't know, you're not going through the girls unit now because of the fire, but you're going up. You'll go up, and we're going to the acute unit. They're gonna say, hey, and they're automatically, unless someone's going to immediately call up there, this is kind of a flaw we have, all our papers are gonna say is Maddie. Maddie is being admitted. So we're gonna walk in, and I'm so bad about this, and I know I have to get better about it, but I'll go, hey Maddie, welcome to the unit. I'm Miss Maddie, whatever. And that's when they usually correct us, but sometimes they don't, and that's when I'll tell you what I do. But anyway, they'll be like, hey, I go by Andy. Okay, sorry. And then we are bad about this. We try to get ahead of the schedule sometimes if we have free time or we're low on census. We'll pre-make everything. So I would have made everything that said Maddie, which, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to go back through and I'm going to write Andy on it. But I'm also going to write they, them on it, because the last thing I want is somewhere within shift change, someone to go, Andy, come here. She's right there, or, we want to put they, them on it. So I'll go back through and I'll rewrite your stuff while you're doing your paperwork and we're going over it. That way everything has the correct name. A lot of times I might put, because sometimes the way the birth records work, I will put Maddie as birth name and then go name Andy and then they, them. And then highlight it so we know. But then if a doctor comes in or if there's something emergent and they're like, we need Maddie, and like someone isn't aware of your name, we can look and be like, oh, it's Andy, and then we get Andy. Because sometimes, and I'll put an example in it, we had an all hands on deck, which means a massive fight. Everyone has to get on the unit, right? This new admission had just come through, and we called an all hands, which means that everyone gets a kid, they take them to a different space, like we try to calm everyone down. One of the kids who'd just been admitted, we didn't know where they were. Well, I said, we'll use my names again, Maddie. I said, Andy, where's Andy? And no one knew who I was talking about because they had just gotten there. And then I said, where's Maddie? Because that was the name that they arrived on and everyone knew, and then we were able to locate the kid who was just taken to a therapist's office. So there are some times where we have to use a birth name within like the first couple minutes of getting there. In emergency situations, I would say okay. However, if you've been there 3 days and they're still referring you or to your birth name, I would kind of throw a fit. like I said, the kid had only been there for like maybe 10 minutes, and it was one of those things where they had told me, but they hadn't told everyone. But in my head, the kid's already Andy, so I'm looking for Andy, but everyone else doesn't know who I'm talking about, so I had to say the dead name. There's a lot of times that no one really cares. No one cares what your dead name is. I've actually never had a kid come up and be like, making fun of someone for their name or questioning another kid. I think what's great about Gen Z is that they all kind of respect this. They all kind of respect a little more than my generation of, this is your name and this is your gender and we're gonna respect it. Could be wrong, but at least that's what I see at my place. Now, let's go over the situation of where the kid doesn't tell us their preferred name. This has happened a few times, and it actually makes me sad because you should feel comfortable with us enough to tell us. You should feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, Miss Maddie, I go by X, Y, and Z. That's my dead name. I don't like it. It's triggering. I'm in transition. There was one time, we'll just use Andy and Maddie again. The kid came in as Maddie. I had all the paperwork ready for Maddie. They signed it as Maddie. And then a couple days later, they came up and I sat with them. I'm like, what's up? Like, you know, you've been here a couple days. You're not really like interacting with everyone. You kind of roll your eyes at me and give me like attitude when I call your name, like what's up? Then they explained to me, you know, I don't even go by Maddie. I go by Andy. I go by they, them. You're calling me she. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, you didn't tell us, and we had no records. Like, when we get the records from the hospital, from the ER, it still has dead names on it, unfortunately. So that's why unless you tell us, we don't know. Which is why I started, when a kid comes in, asking what their name is and what their pronouns are. Instead of me going, hey Maddie, welcome to the unit, which I used to be really bad at, I've started going, hey, what's your name? What are your pronouns? Welcome to the unit. That way I get them and there's no question. There's no awkwardness of them having to come out and tell me. Like, it's there. And they can just, they tell me what they are. And that, I think, works better. And I've tried to really implement that and tell staff, like, that's the way we should be doing it. But, you know, everyone has their own way of welcoming kids on the unit. After the kid told me their pronouns and their name, it was a flawless relationship. I actually became their safe person. So if you are transgender or gender fluid or go by different pronouns or different anything, please tell staff, because we truly don't know. We don't know. The papers we get have different names on them, unless it's like, now there have been times where the names have been legally changed, then we have those. Those come in. But a lot of times kids, especially kids, you know, adults are more likely to get their name changed immediately. Kids don't have the access and the resources or the money to change their name exactly when they want to. So they have their name, like, my name's Madison. I don't go by Madison. I either go by Maddie or Madeline. So me walking in, they're gonna call me Madison because that's what it says. They're not gonna know to call me Madeline because Lynn is my middle name and I just combine them. So I have to tell them. So just don't be shy, tell us and let us know. But yeah, people like myself are working on different approaches to talk and welcome you. That way you're able to tell us without us assuming. I've really learned that assuming a kid's gender or name or pronouns is actually more harmful than helpful. So just let them come to you. Any staff who's watching this, it's a great technique I've learned. And it's kind of changed my perspective on everything, like of how to approach the kid, because a bunch of, like, coming up for me was hard. I can't imagine going into a hospital in crisis and then having to come out again. Like, it just kind of sucks. So now let's talk about what happens if they don't respect your pronouns. This is a major thing. Every hospital has a report system. I've worked in 3 hospitals now. They all have a system. If a staff is refusing to use your name or your correct pronouns, report them. Report them. That is disrespect, and that is causing more trauma and harm than it is good. You are at the psych hospital for a reason. You are supposed to be there to get treatment. We are supposed to be your safe people. If they're not going to be your safe person and they're going to call you your dead name or refer to the wrong pronouns, then they're not doing their job. And there have been times it's happened, and guess what? Staff like myself and other staff who's actually there to help and care and love you will report them too. And every time it happens, I say something and the staff usually wants to argue with me, and I walk down to management and I go, look, this is what's happening. these kids aren't being respected by X, Y, and Z employee. Long story short, this happened not that long ago, and I threw a massive fit, and it showed. So a kid walked in, a new kiddo, and the nurse said, hey, we'll do Maddie and Andy. And hey, Maddie, he goes, hey, I go by Andy. And the nurse was like, it says Maddie, and I'm going to call you Maddie because I need to for your medicine. And I just look at him and I'm like, I know this is coming because this nurse does it. It's just a grumpy nurse in general, which does not give her a pass or an excuse. Anyway, and so I'm like, hey, they go by he, him, that's Andy, they're on a unit, like, I just need you to respect that. And the nurse has the audacity to go, they're on my unit. They go by she, her, and her name's Maddie. And I said, no. And so I got the kid, I talked to the kid, and I went downstairs, and long story short, the nurse was removed from the situation because a lot of people reported it. Because you coming in crisis, you're coming in at the lowest moment of your life. You should not be responsible for not upsetting a homophobic nurse. They shouldn't even work there. If they can't accept people, they shouldn't be there. It's just like, I try to respect everyone's beliefs and opinions, but when you go into a field where people are struggling, you have to be open-minded. You have to be able to respect everyone. You have to be the bigger person, and you have to love and care on them. You being disrespectful and calling them the wrong pronouns and the wrong name to their face is going to be very harmful and hurtful. What if now they are upset and can't go to nurses, or they're scared to come and tell people the correct name or pronouns because of your reaction? That is not okay. So that's why staff like myself will stand up for you in all avenues, situations, whatever you want to talk about. So that's kind of a look. If you guys have questions, I didn't know how to go too in depth. The key topics: tell your admissions team that you are transgender, have pronouns, gender fluid, whatever you go by, tell them. Fight for your binder. Prove to them you're going to be safe with it if you're going to be safe with it. Tell them that you need it for your treatment, that it'll make your treatment go better, that you don't feel like yourself without it, that you having your binder makes you feel safe. Say you want to go on a gender fluid or everyone unit, acute unit, whatever, low risk unit, whatever they call it, ask for that. Tell them you don't feel safe going on the unit that your gender at birth is. Tell them that you are in transitioning and you feel safe going X, Y, Z. Fight for your name. When you walk on the unit, if a staff asks you your name, don't be scared to tell them your name and your pronouns. It will help you. And if anyone gives you a hard time about your pronouns or your name, you come to a staff you trust and we will fight for you. I hope this helps a little bit. I've never done a full story on this, but I love you guys. Keep asking questions. It might be a bad day month here, but it's not a bad life. I love you guys. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit that little bell thingy so you know when I post. Today's video is totally different and not what I planned at all. So I asked you guys on Instagram to give me assumptions about psych hospitals, and y'all hit me in the jugular bad. Like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I thought they'd be like, you know, you sleep all day or you watch TV, but man, people went hard. So let's hit the intro and we're gonna do these. So what's funny is, like, this might get pretty heated, and if you submitted one that was like pretty off the wall, I did it. And what's weird is, like, I actually had to sit down and take a break because I was getting heated while reading these. So this isn't like the normal one where it's like you sleep all day or you watch TV. No, I picked the most intense ones I could find because now I have enough followers on there that a lot of people are answering, and these were very, very, very intense. So without further ado, let's do these. So this one is actually one that the kids say when they come in there, and I thought it'd be like a really good one to address at first. And it's, if you're in one, you're automatically crazy. Okay, so no one should ever be called crazy. We don't call the kids crazy. You're not crazy. You know, mental illness, it's something you can't control, and it's either through chemicals or past trauma. So no, you're not crazy for being in a psych hospital. You're there to get treatment. I hate when kids come in and call themselves crazy or they call another kid crazy because they're reacting to their trauma differently than they are. So no, you're not crazy if you go in one. You are, fighting through your trauma, and it's mental illness. But that one's just one I wanted to kick it off. So this one says, they're gonna lock me up. Lock you up where? We're not jail. Like, you have a bedroom, and you can come out, but like, we don't lock you up anywhere. There's Modify, but that's a separate unit where if you're like attacking staff, that's the unit you go to, but you don't get locked up in psych hospitals. In the movies, I haven't ever seen like a true psych ward movie, but in the movies they lock you in rooms. They don't lock you in rooms at ours. You are free to go in and out, sleep. You can't go in during the day unless you're sick because they want you on the unit participating in therapy, and that's just to help your treatment. So they don't lock you up. It's kind of like a nice prison. No. What's funny is we get a lot of prison kids because they know there's less rules here than prison. And so they come, and then they will break a rule so they stay longer. But it's not like prison. I feel like in prison there's a negative connotation and a negative atmosphere, whereas at our hospital, you're there for a reason. It's because you needed help. It's not because you broke a law. It's not because you did anything wrong. It's there because you need help, and that's okay and normal, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. So it's not like a prison. The kids who come from prison love it. They call it a vacation. But don't get that in your head because it's not a vacation for those who truly need it. It's a lot of therapy, a lot of groups. So this one kind of like, pushed my buttons a little bit. Some staff want to help kids, while others are uneducated and there just for the job. You're always going to have any job that has people that are there just for the paycheck. That's how it is. But we are not uneducated. No one there, I would say, is uneducated because we go through an intense amount of training while we're at the hospital. So we have 2 weeks of intense TST training, which is a trauma force and base training. And then we do holds. And then we do, when we have new people in the unit, I don't even let them take control or do holds for the first 3 months because that's still training. Like, you're still learning. So I wouldn't say uneducated because we do put a lot of time and effort into getting educated for you guys. I would say more of sometimes you'll run into 1 or 2 people who are there just for the job. I mean, sometimes it can be a transitional job for people. You have to respect that, but they better respect you and do their job. This one, every child is insane. No, this is the same thing as crazy. You're not insane. And it's not insane asylum. I hate when people call it that too. You are there because you're struggling, because you need help, because it is a mental illness. Mental illness. Not because you're insane. They love to give booty juice. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's an IM, it's an in muscle shot. It's a PRN. And that's a no. Let me tell you, every time you guys think we enjoy giving booty juice, it's actually pretty traumatic for staff. And I've never met anyone who's been excited to do that. A lot of times staff gets hurt. A lot of times it messes with our head. A lot of times it's if I could never have to do that again, I'd be okay with that. So stop assuming the hospitals just booty juice you up and make you go to bed. Straight jackets. Are those still a thing? We don't have them there, and we're really high risk. I've never seen one. I don't think I've ever seen one. Ever. We have kids that come in shackles and handcuffs in a wheelchair so they don't run from jail. But I've never seen a straitjacket. They are all dark and scary. No. But ours used to be a little dark, and that was just because they didn't paint the walls or make them pretty. And so lately the hospital has done a really good job of painting and making it look good and really working on the vibe of the hospital, where now the rooms have wall colors, the units have writing and nice painting and all of this. They really worked hard on that, and it looks really good. I was actually part of that project, and it was really fun. So yeah. The staff, I put a nice one in here. The staff is nicer than people think. Yes. There's only 4 or 5 staff within 3 years I can think of that I just did not think were nice. And one of them was in the cafeteria, and the other 3 didn't last there. I mean, the people who are there that aren't nice, I think it's because they are in there for the wrong reasons. They think that like it's gonna be an easy job, and they get there and it's very traumatic, and then it like turns their their mindset until they can find a new job. But I would say that most staff there that is mean doesn't last because it's not their job. Like, you can't be mean and work there because you can't. Like, you have to have a heart for these kids because they go through a lot, and you sit with them through their worst moments. So no. Abusive staff. Okay. If any medical professional ever abuses you, you need to report it to the state. Stop assuming that all psych hospitals do is abuse you and lock you up. I get this so much. And what's weird is like it's never people who go into the hospital who think that. It's like the people who actually never even have to go in that think that. Which, because like when the kids come in, I always say like, hey, have you heard rumors? Like, do you have any questions? They'll tell you, they'll be like, I heard that they like strap you to a bed, and I'm like, that's not what happens. And it kind of just eases them. But no, our staff does not abuse, or I would hope any psych ward wouldn't abuse anyone. If you have been abused by a hospital, again, you need to report it to the state. Here's another one about booty juice. I don't know why everyone's so obsessed with booty juice. The fact you call it booty juice makes me giggle. Okay, because we call it a PRN, but the kids call it booty juice. When a kid gets a shot, they go, oh, they get booty juice. Like, it's a whole thing. They give everyone booty juice even if they're behaving. No. And half the time, people don't even get the shots. If they are so triggered they need a PRN and they can tell us, they'll ask for a pill. They'll say, hey, can I have a PRN? And they'll say oral or IM. Some do ask for IM, and that's not traumatic at all. They just take the shot. It's because it's faster acting, and those who are in crisis sometimes want it if the doctor approves it. A lot of times, kid will just say, hey, to calm down, I need a PRN. They'll give them a PRN, and they're good. Like I said, I would say we maybe give one booty juice shot. I call them a PRN, but to reference what you guys are saying, I would say once a week, if that. It depends on the group. I would say once every 2 weeks. Most are like pills. I still think once every 2 weeks. My girls' unit's so good. Honestly, I would say in the past month, I haven't given any. And by me saying giving, it means help. The nurse administers them. But no, that would be a really tough question because, like, I would say it's per group of kids you get, but I honestly can't remember the last time I had to give a shot on the girls' unit. Because they're usually really good about being vocal about what they need, and you can sit with them and talk. They tie you to a bed and electrocute you. No. And this is from a movie that I have seen, I cannot think of the name of it, where they tie him to the bed, they electrocute him. That's not happening at ours. I mean, it's not happening at ours. Ours is a high-risk psych ward for minors. I've obviously never been in an adult psych ward, so I can't speak on that, but I don't know. There were so many of these, and it so bothers me. They mistreat and abuse patients. Where are you guys getting this from? Where do you think that people are getting abused at psych hospitals? Like, treatment. We don't, at least at ours, like, maybe there's some kind of psych hospital I'm missing, but this is, and I added so many of these because there were like 80 of these in these comments that it was all like abuse or neglect, and I'm like, where are we getting the stigma from that if you go to a psych hospital that you're gonna get abused? Because that stigma needs to end, because that's gonna scare people to not get help. Here's another one. Like I said, I was calling out all the outrageous ones that I was just like, oh my gosh. They will drug you, they will lock you in a room and handcuff you to a bed. No. Just no. I've already gone over that. No. We can do a couple of good ones. The food is not good. Well, to be honest, the food to me is okay. So the way it works with staff is we can't bring our own food in, because why would we eat something really nice in front of a kid that they can't have? So granted, there are some times where we can order food, take it to the back, chug it down in 5 minutes, and then get back on the unit. We've done that before if they run out of food. But a lot of times we have to eat the same food you guys do. With that being said, is the food great? It's like high school food. There's certain things like their bean burritos will not touch. Their peas are disgusting. They are salted peas and they have like vinegar on them. They're disgusting. But let me tell you, homegirl lives for some pizza, and then they do chicken and waffles some nights, and then they do a make your own pizza night, and then like Taco Tuesdays. Those things are fire. Don't mess with Taco Tuesdays. They're good. But the bean burritos I won't touch. So like some of them are, you know, good, some of them are bad. I would say no kid ever complains. I mean, unless I'm a picky eater and I can eat there. So I wouldn't say the food's bad. They're usually forced in a moment's notice to go in. That's like 50-50. And I'm trying to find some good ones and save them as we go too. But that's like 50-50. So if you go in to a hospital for SI, you're usually going to go to a psych hospital. So at the old hospital I worked at, it was a children's hospital, you would sit in the ER for 8 hours and be observed. And then you would proceed to go to a psych hospital. So therefore, you have 8 hours notice. Some of them no, and they do planned admits, but that's not usually what we get. Okay, I like this one. You are cared for, strict, but in a good way. Yes, I am one of the most strict staff there, and here's why. Because with strict rules come good boundaries. And with good boundaries comes lots of rewards. So there is a lot of times kids don't like me the first day because I'm like but that's just my personality. Like I take control of the situation. We're going to do it right the first time. We're going to problem solve. We're going to solution orient. We're going to have like a good day. And we're going to be vocal. And a lot of times kids don't like that. But let me tell you this. By the day they leave, they come up to me and say I'm their favorite staff and that I'm the one that gave them a chance when they screwed up. Because a lot of times kids will come after us and it's really hard to like reopen that connection of like trust. And if a kid attacks me the next day, I go in like it never happened. And it's because kids screw up, but trauma also makes it worse. So if you hit me the day before, I'm going to go in the next day, nothing happened. And you know why? Because I get it. You've been through some shit and you need to like work through it with your therapist and it's fine. So I am strict, but let me tell you, I love every one of those kids with my heart. And by the end, I am usually in the top 5 of their favorite. And they will tell me, you were really strict when I got here, but I absolutely love you. And that's why. Because I do let them have fun. Like, we have fun. But I'm also going to be the first one that comes to stand up for you when someone's picking on you. Or when a staff gives you the hard time. Or when you don't get the right food, I'm going to be the first one to bat for you too. It's kind of like a I got your back, you got mine kind of thing. But I love my kids. This one's interesting. So if you're just over 18, you get treated like a full-grown adult. We don't even take you. If you are over 18, you don't come. You go to adult. And that's because we have lots of kids there. So 18 and over, I think we'll take you. No, I don't think we'll take you. I think you have to be under 18. I think there's been some people who are there and turn 18 while they're there, and then they have a while, like a period they can stay until they leave. But I think if you're 18, you automatically go to adults. You're going to miss your family and friends a lot because you can't see or talk to them. Honestly, I think I can name in my head 2 patients in 3 years that were so homesick they couldn't function or were upset that they couldn't see their family. Your parents can call you as many times during the day as they want. Your parents can visit as many times during the day as they want. What you can do is call them after 5 p.m. twice. And that's only because it protects them while they're at work so they're not answering the phone all the time. But I mean, when I worked pre-ads, the little kids, I had parents who called every hour to talk to their kid. If that's what you tell your parent, Mom, will you call me like every hour to check on me? Do it. It's fine. Like, we're not going to judge you. It happens. But if you're really homesick, like, this has happened where a kid just couldn't function and I pulled them out of the room. I was like, okay, you can call your mom. I talked to your treatment team. I talked to your therapist. I said, it's better for your treatment if you get it. Let's go. And then they call them. We're not going to like neglect you and say absolutely not, but as long as they're on your contact list, it's not a big deal. I know that was like a weird round. It was like a lot of negative, but that's what they all were. And I guess I wasn't like really prepared for, I thought some of the assumptions would be funny or fun or like nice, but they weren't. And that's fine. That's what assumptions are. They're you guys making assumptions about the hospital based on like rumors or lies or untruths or things you've heard or misheard, stuff like that. So no hard feelings. I just thought it was like intense because when I opened those, I was just like, holy crap. But also, I guess, what did I think it was gonna be? So I hope you guys like that. Remember, it might be a bad day, month, year, but it's not a bad life. Also, 9 a.m. Saturday is the premiere trailer of our show. I vlog the whole day and the premieres at the end. It's gonna be super exciting. We are in January turning Inside Psych into a TV show format, and the crew is absolutely amazing, and I'm super blessed for this whole experience, so I hope you guys like it. Inside Psych. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Inside Psych, and today, actually, I'm really excited about today's video because I put a lot of effort and time into it, but I also want to do like some scenarios pertaining to the psych hospital. So let's hit the intro and then we'll be right back. Also, I have to brag on the makeup once it like focuses on my face. I used YSL. This is totally not an ad, but it's my new favorite makeup. Okay, anyway, sorry I got sidetracked. Today we're gonna be talking about silverware, and I even brought some home from the hospital to kind of like show you guys, and I want to go through certain scenarios on when you will be using paper versus plastic, how to get back on plastic, at least at our hospital, and why we go to paper. There's several different reasons. I've tried to plan it out that way it kind of flows. I had some people ask questions, and I think I'm ready. So I'm just gonna like show you what a paper spoon is. The kids hate these. I'll throw it out there. They hate them, we hate them. So this is what it looks like. It is simply a piece of paper, and it's got, I don't know if you can focus on it, it's got outlines. So you do this, and that is how they use a spoon. That's the spoon. They hate them, and we hate them because when the whole unit has to go on it, staff has to as well. So here are the situations that you'd be put on these, because then I can explain, you know, why. So let's say a kid stashes the spoons. Well, spoons are the #1 thing that they make shanks out of. So, or SH items. So once we find one of those, we report it, we do the paperwork, and we make sure all the spoons are off the unit. Then we do one more step. We give out plastic spoons again for a meal, and we count them. And usually it doesn't go well. Usually the spoons are still missing if it leads up to this. So once we notice that, like, hey, 2 spoons are missing. So it's like one of those things where like, okay, here's your spoon, and you have to give it back to us because someone's gotten caught making like an object. Say that one of the spoons is not accounted for. We have to do room checks and wand checks and stuff like that. But needless to say, no more spoons. We go to paper spoons. And it is until the whole unit, at least at ours, until that whole unit, if we don't know who it is, the whole unit discharges. Or if we know it's one person, they go on paper spoons, not the whole unit. Let's say, and at that time, like, let's say the person gets the paper spoon and everyone else on the unit is still using plastic. We're still counting spoons. Let's say one's still missing. At that point, we've reached all possibilities of how we can keep spoons on the unit, and now we go to paper spoons on the whole unit, which is kind of hard because a lot of the food, it's like a what do you call them? A spork. I think it's half spoon, half fork. Then we go to these, and these are a nightmare to try to eat cereal out of. They're awful, and like, I will just admit it, like, I usually won't even use it. I'll just like chug it backwards. But yeah, the kids hate these, and the reason they hate them isn't because they feel like something was taken from them. It's literally because they're really hard to eat with. And so, but this is last resort. There's like several ways, you know, a lot of times they stash the spoons, a lot of times they hide the spoons, or sometimes we've had a couple that never made anything out of them. They just wanted to keep them because they didn't want a new, I don't know. Like, they were, you know, we were just like, give us a spoon back. Like, you can't be having spoons. We don't have plastic knives there for a reason. So for each meal, you'll get one of these. So say we have 3 meals. You'll get a new one each one. it usually lasts the whole time we're on the unit. It lasts, you know, I want to say if you're there for 7 days, you're going to be on paper spoons for 7 days. But I also wanted to do like a how you can get off of them. Like if you were at our place and you were like, I learned my lesson, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to do better. I'm not going to SH with them. Like, let me prove it to you. I wanted to give you a couple of routes on how the kids at our work do it. And maybe at a place that you go to, it might help you. This is no way an idea giving you an idea to manipulate to get the spoon back to do stuff with. But if you genuinely want to earn their trust back, I've had kids come up in the past and they're like, can I talk to my therapist? And they talk to the therapist and they're like, look, I'm here for a reason. I want to get better. I'm so sorry that I lost trust with it. I'm so sorry that I did SH with it. Can I have one more chance? And if you haven't had any incidents, you know, leading up to that where like you haven't SH'd with anything else on the unit, you've been, you know, responsible, respectful, you've been a good client, then I've seen it where they're like, okay, we'll give it one more chance, but it needs to be supervised. So a bunch of times the therapist will, you know, take the client into their office and eat with them and be like, okay, let's do a couple more meals where you have the plastic spoon with you, and then, you know, then you'll be on your own. I will say it doesn't happen too much on my unit where someone goes from paper spoons to plastic, back to plastic, and that's solely because the kids, they will manipulate and use the spoon for things they shouldn't. But I have seen it where a couple times the kid was just like, look, I screwed up, I shouldn't have done it, I didn't think this through, I hurt myself and I didn't want to, and they've been given a second chance. A lot of times, I would say it's, at least at ours, you're there for 5 to 7 days. If you have to, you know, use a paper spoon for 7 days, at least you'll get a real one when you leave. But if it really bothers you that bad, at least at ours, the levels you would go is through like your staff. You'd have them write a staff note that you were safe with all of the items they gave you for that day. Then you go to your therapist and you talk to your therapist, and then, you know, ours would be like, okay, can you talk to the treatment team? And they'd be like, okay. And then they'd go to treatment team, which is like doctors, therapists, dietitians. It's everyone who is part of your treatment. And they can decide like, yes, she can go back on them, or no, she can't, that kind of thing. We don't ever have any troubles with these. These are really hard, and I know someone's gonna say like they could do it, but like these, like, they're, I don't know how to describe it. They're paper but laminated. So I mean, you could, it feels like the consistency, there, you can rip it, but it's like soft. The consistency of this is like comparable to a milk carton. Like, it feels like the inside of a milk carton. But I mean, if you rip this up, say you rip this up and like try to self-harm with this, then they're just gonna be like, okay, you can't, you can only use hand-only foods, so you'll get a lot of like chicken nuggets, a lot of like eatable, whatever you want to call it, things that you can just do with your hands. That way you don't have to use utensils. I will say that I have seen in the past where a kid has struggled. This might gross you out, I'm sorry, I just had Chipotle. But when a kid wasn't able to eat off of the plates, they received, I guess you can't see it, they received cartons like this. I will insert a picture right here of what the meal cartons look like. So I don't have a picture of the actual food carton, mostly because every time I'm working when the food's distributed, so I can't really like take my phone out and take a picture. But I did take a picture of what the carts look like. And so the way the meals are like dispersed is, so the bottom of the hospital is the school. The top is the hospital where like the short-term kids stay. And so the cafeteria puts the food in these green carts, I'll picture right here. The green carts, they push it up to your unit, and they come, before COVID, they came on plates. Now because of COVID, they come on like to-go boxes is what you could call it, like a regular to-go box. That's what it comes in. They don't have any issues with that. They actually, I think the kids like it more because it contains the heat versus before. And before, the plates were just like all on one thing, and like, yeah, they didn't really like it. Also, they were super easy to drop before, and I had my fair share of accidents where I accidentally dropped a plate. Yeah, it was rough. but that's how they come up. And then the spoons, literally all I asked for the cafeteria is like, hey, can I have some paper spoons to take home? And this is what they gave me. This is how they come on the unit in a plastic bag with like these paper spoons. If you feel like you need these, I actually found some on Amazon. They look a little better than these, but you can find paper spoons on Amazon if at home you feel like you need to be safe with paper spoons. We give them paper towels for napkins, just because we go through so many. We just have like a big paper towel rack. For drinks, they have styrofoam cups. I'll just keep putting the pictures here. They're styrofoam cups. We don't allow water bottles because even for staff, like I'll show you, we're not allowed to have this stuff on the unit, because a kid could easily cut this, tear it, and use it, or they could swallow this. And we're not allowed to have cans because the same way these are considered one of the most dangerous things you can have on a unit because, well, it's like metal. But we will get written up if they find these on the unit. So what I usually do is I take a cup, and I'll do a whole video on this, like what you can and can't have on the unit as an employee. But like I take whatever's in my can and I pour it in a styrofoam cup and I call it good. So I just want to do like a video showing the silverware, because a lot of people are always asking, but I guess I just never thought to just do a video on it. So guys, happy Vlogmas. Leave your ideas in the comments. I love you guys. It might be a bad day month here, but it's not a bad life. I love you guys.